Alright guys, let's do Tower Floor 45 again, and this time I will be showing you guys a burst strategy with an A0 Hollow Purple Gojo, so you can beat it in just 5 turns. Now obviously the standard banner is going to come out very soon, which is kind of why I'm going to showcase this strategy with Hollow Purple Gojo. I already have a strategy on how to store the team out with Mojito and Blue Gojo, so you don't have to go by this strategy, but the store strategy is going to take you 40 turns. Whereas this one is a burst team, you can beat it in 5 turns. However, there's a bit of RNG involved, I'm going to be honest. I've done some basic math. I feel it's about 10% chance of actually pulling it off. And you may or may not need a crit at the end, depending on what recollection you have. So take kind of like pick your poison, right? You either stall for 40 turns, and that's kind of more or less guaranteed, or you go for this burst team with only like a 10% chance of doing that, but you can beat it in just 5 turns. So pick your poison. Both approaches is going to work, okay? Now, so exactly how is this strategy going to work? So this is just your classic burst strategy with Hollow Purple Gojo. However, in order for you to do enough damage, you need all of your skills pretty much maxed out. So you can see here, for example, my Hollow Purple Gojo, because I was trying to do it at 0 dupe, I have to max out his level to 125. So that's with the stamp, first of all. And also at the same time, the skill level, you can see I have both his skill and also his skill 2, his ultimate skill and his skill 2 at level 10, and also Yaga and also Nanami's buffing skill at level 10, and also Momo's buffing skill at level 9. And the other one I will also be using is this one, Kaito's buff, also at level 8 as well. So you can see there's definitely a lot of high investment in terms of all the skill level in order for you to do it. But the beauty with this is that depending on whether you have this recollection or not, basically even if you do if you have this recollection, which is basically going to have this passive ability of 25% damage down, and if you do actually have this, I have actually tried this, I am actually able to kill off the boss without needing a crit on my Hollow Purple Gojo's ultimate attack. Even though he's not able to one-shot the enemy, but it's able to kind of get the enemy down to like the last 5% health, where you can then actually finish up with the ultimate attack from Yaga, Nanami, and also Green Momo, etc. So if you do happen to have this recollection, you don't even need to go for a crit on your ultimate attack, which is great. Now, if you do not have this recollection because you weren't lucky enough to pull it in the standard pool after the update, you can use another one, for example, Death by Wasp. It's only going to give you 15% damage increase. However, with a crit, you will still be able to beat the boss anyway. So basically, either approach is going to work. It's just that, you know, depending on whether you have this recollection, determines whether you actually need a crit or not. Okay. Okay, so that's basically the setup for all of this. Now, in terms of the strategy itself, basically you will be trying to go for an ult on turn 5 with Hollow Purple Gojo just to finish off the battle quick. And that's kind of what you have to have non-standard and also unity from top to bottom or bottom to top. Those two are kind of mandatory. You would also want to have this recollection, and that's because the enemy is going to basically suck away a lot of the curse energy in this battle. So you kind of want Kaito to be able to not only give curse energy through his own skill 3, but also through this use of recollection, because Kaito is going to die, right? You also want to use this recollection so that you can actually do a bit more HP damage to yourself to ensure Kaito dies on turn 3, so that your Momo can come in and continue the buff. And the reason why Kaito kind of need to die on turn 3 is because Kaito's ultimate attack is going to be able to give a buff for 1 time in 3 turns. So you don't have to use it on the same turn. However, it lasts for 3 turns. So if, let's say, Kaito actually dies on turn 3, that basically means the buff is valid all the way till turn 5, which is very important because that's when my Hollow Purple Gojo is actually going to do his ultimate attack. So that's kind of why Kaito ideally needs to die on turn 3. And when Kaito dies on turn 3, you then have Momo come in, and Momo is able to stack up the maximum buff in just 2 turns, which is perfect because she will be buffing on turn 4 and turn 5. And once again, so that basically means on the time when your Gojo is about to ult, you basically have 4 stack of buff from Yaga, 4 stack of buff from Nanami, 2 stack of buff from Momo, and also 1 ultimate stack buff from Kaito. And that's basically how you're going to maximize the amount of damage in order to one-shot the enemy. Okay? Now, so with that in mind, it's kind of obvious what you want to do. So for the first turn, what you're going to do is that you want your Yaga and Nanami both to do their skill 1, because there's no need for you to do any buff, right? The buff only stack for 4 times, so you only want to start buffing on turn 2. And when you're doing that, you want to activate this first recollection on Yaga. which is this unity, in order to give your whole team a bit of extra energy. However, what you have to bear in mind is that what you want to do on Kaito on the first turn is that you do not actually want to activate this recollection straight away. Because what you want Kaito to do on the first turn is actually for Kaito to apply a skill 2 on Nanami. And this is very important because basically if your Yaga is highly leveled up like me, for example level 115, and also recollection all the way max out to level 80, what's going to happen is that Yaga is able to tank one hit from the enemy, and also the turn 3 the enemy boss is going to do an AoE attack, which is like by default it's going to do damage to you. And with this high level combination, Yaga is able to tank that. However, Nanami is not able to tank that, which is kind of why you want Kaido to use skill 2 in order to put on a bit of damage reduction on Nanami, so that Nanami can also tank one hit and then also the AoE attack, which is very important. Otherwise, you're going to go into a lot of RNG hell trying to make sure the enemy doesn't target both Yaga and Nanami, etc. So that's kind of why it's very important for you to do this. And if Kaito is going to use his skill 2 on the first turn, this is a buff, which is basically means that Kaito is going to move in front of Yaga. And that's kind of why, even though you'll be using Yaga's recollection on the first turn, this won't actually be activated till Kaito's second turn, because Kaito is going to move first. And that's kind of why when you have recollection such as this, which is going to increase your ultimate gauge, you actually want to use this on the second turn where Unity is actually active, rather than on the first turn when Kaito actually moves in front of Yaga before Unities come into effect. So that's kind of why on the first turn, the only recollection you want to activate is this Unity from top to bottom. Then on the second turn, this is where you are then going to use this in order to give yourself that ultimate gauge, and this can actually allow Kaito to completely charge up his ult, which is why then on turn 3, I'm able to use this ultimate attack on him to buff your whole team. Now, the thing here to bear in mind is that on the first 2 turns, the enemy is going to do exactly 3 debuff and also 3 single target attacks. The 3 debuff, as long as the curse energy, the one that eats away curse energy, doesn't hit Kaito, you'll be fine, because what you want Kaito to do is on the first turn, you use your skill 2 to protect an enemy, and then on the second turn, use your skill 3 to give curse energy to the whole team. So you don't want that curse energy to be sucked away on Kaito, but it can be sucked away from anyone else, so that's absolutely fine. However, in terms of single target attack, you need to make sure at least one attack land on Kaito, because that's kind of what required in order to Kaito actually die on turn 3. And then in terms of the other 2 single target attack, it can hit any one of them, because already I told you, Yaga is able to tank that, and Nanami is also able to tank that now after the skill 2 from Kaito. However, those 2 single target attack, they cannot hit on the same character, otherwise they'll just kill them up. So it can hit either Yaga, Nanami, or Gojo, but just can't hit on the same person twice. So that's kind of what there is a bit of RNG, but I have done the math. I think there's like a 10% chance in total for all of this to go into plan, which is not actually too bad considering this game, okay? Now, this is basically what you want to do on your Yaga, Nanami, and also Kaito. And what you want to do on Momo is also quite obviously of just stack up her buff. What do you actually want to do on your Hollow Purple Gojo then? So on the Hollow Purple Gojo, on the first 2 turns, you can do whatever you want. You can use your skill 1, or you can use your skill 3. It doesn't really matter. Skill 3 is slightly nicer on paper because it increases your break damage. However, skill 1 is also nice because you can actually Black Flash on this, and when Hollow Purple Gojo get Black Flash, it actually increases his crit rate, which, see, it says here, right? Increase crit rate after Black Flash. So Black Flash from his skill 1 could also work, so it's kind of up to you whether you want to use skill 1 or skill 3 on the first 2 turns. However, on turn 3, it's very important that you only use his skill 1. And once again, this is because on turn 3, your Kaito is actually going to use this buff, which is going to increase your curse technique. And you do not want to use your curse technique attack on your Gojo from turn 3 onwards, because that would just be wasting the buff from Kaito. And instead, what you want to do is you want to use on turn 3 this physical attack, so this skill 1, and also this debuff skill on turn 4. So this way, the curse energy buff from Kaito is going to be preserved all the way onto turn 5 when Gojo is then able to ult. And then, like I said, with this ultimate attack, depending on whether you need this recollection or not, you can either kill off the enemy straight away with a crit, or even if you are not able to crit, you are able to seriously cripple the enemy so that the other characters can then finish off with their ultimate attack, etc.
めんどくさいな。
善の一手を常に考えろ。
手早く済ませましょう。
しっかりしろ。手加減はしてあげるよ。見えるかな。
相手の動きを観察しろ。
片付けます。
しっかりしろ。やっちゃっていいの。
授業を始めよう。
気張っていきましょう。
後ろは任せてください。まずはお前。
手早く済ませましょ
今なら俺やっちゃっていいの。
授業を始めよう。
う。ここが踏ん張りどころです。
呪連素術。挨拶がある。
可愛くないやつばっかりね。
サイズ
片付けます。
舐められるね。
やっちゃっていいの。
では教育の
ここ
時間だ。
が踏ん張りどころです。
オッケー、読めたわ。
その程度。
相手の動き。
さて行きますよ。
可愛く叩き。
それじゃおしまいにしようか。
授業を始めよう。
なるほど、そういうことね。
対象の7対3の点を弱点にする。私からは以上です。
挙式。紫。
あなたなら当然でしょう。頼みます。
当然。まあ最強だからね。